All right, so in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to find ads that are winners and specifically how to graduate those ads. So this is going to be technical. It's going to be a little bit short. We're going to go through a lot of data in this, specifically in the ads manager. Now, just to show you the process, what I'm basically trying to do here, this is the exact process that we talked about in the graduation system for how we know one of these ads is a winner, right? The hard part, or a mistake I see a lot, is that people think they have a winning ad, brands think they have a winning ad, and they graduate it way too early. When in reality, we have to be very picky about what winning ads actually are. So I want to show you my criteria for a winning ad. I'm going to do this in two different ad accounts. I'm going to do this in an ad account that's spending a lot right now. So it's very, very clear. It's obvious. And then I'm going to do it in an ad account that's spending very little so that no matter where you are, whether you're spending $100 a day or $100,000, you'll be able to see kind of the differences here. So first off, we're going to start in the ad account that's spending quite a bit right now. What I've done here is I'm looking at only my active ads in my prospecting CBO campaign. We have to be very, very particular here. We are not selecting our entire ad account. We're only selecting those in the prospecting CBO campaign. Once we're in here, the first thing we're going to do is we need to be looking at incremental attribution. So we have a module that talks about all these attribution models, but just for our sake here, the reason we use incremental attribution more than anything else is because it's going to show us truly what was most likely to happen with or without Facebook ads. So in this case, this brand for this specific campaign spent $72,000 on these active ads. They drove 1,755 purchases. That drove them a 1.9 return on ad spend. Incremental return on ad spend was 1.62. The next thing we're going to do in addition to this is we're going to go to our breakdowns and select audience segments here. Now, what we're looking for are what new audience ads, what prospecting ads truly drove the best return on ad spend and had high volume. Now, I'm going to preempt this with a lot, but then this is kind of going to drop very quickly into like there's only a couple ads here that we could actually graduate. So you need to know your target. You need to absolutely know what your return on ad spend needs to be as a function of profitability, not just as a function of my cousin's second uncle got this. That would be my dad, I guess. My cousin's friend got a 10x return on ad spend in 2005. We don't care about that, right? What we care about is what's actually the ROAS that you need for your business. So we break it down with these two breakdowns: the incremental attribution and then the new versus engaged versus existing, so that we can see truly what are new audience driving and what's the incremental pop on that. Now, for this business that we're looking at in particular here, we're really looking to drive above a 1.9 return on ad spend. Now, we're at target right now over the last 30 days. So what I would prefer to do here is either look at the last 30 days or even the last 14 days to give me an idea of what's working and what's not working. The next thing I'm doing is I'm looking for the top spending ads only. So in the last 14 days, this campaign spent $36,000. I'm looking for anything that's spent like, at minimum 10 to 20%, really like 30% of this entire campaign's budget. So just to show everyone here, if we removed our audience segments, you can basically see there's 3 ads that are even eligible, that even have the amount of spend that I'm looking for here. Because what a lot of people do is they say, oh, well, this ad right here is actually the winner because it has a 2.26 return on ad spend. But that's where you get caught with an issue. Because if you don't look at incremental and you don't look at new audience and you graduate too early because it has low overall spend, you make significant mistakes. So audience segments on, and we only have 3 ads that we're even considering graduating here. First one is a no-go. The new audience return on ad spend is 1.75. That's not good enough for us. The second one is very interesting. We're going to analyze this more as a 2.06. So it's above the 1.9 target, and on the incremental attribution is a 1.8, which is far above the average incremental attribution. And if we even broke this down further, we're going to see the new audience total return on ad spend is only 1.56 for incremental new audience. So when we have an asset scroll back here. When we have an asset that's driving new audience incremental 1.8, that's a significant margin, almost 20%, about 18% higher than the rest of this campaign. That's something we need to pay attention to. And then the next ad here. Now, I just know that this ad's fatigued. We've been running this for like 3 months, but that's not here nor there. If I'm just purely looking at this data, this does not deserve graduation because the incremental attribution is under the average. So what am I interested in? I am just interested in this ad right here. I think this ad has a lot of potential to scale. The reason I say that, just to be very clear here, is because A, it's already proven it could spend on its own. It's driving one of the best cost per purchases, one of the lowest incremental cost per purchases. It's also holding those metrics up on new audience only, and it's holding the same value on return on ad spend. Other things I look at here just to validate is we'll get rid of the breakdowns because we can't see them in the breakdowns. And now we only care about this ad, right? All we care about is this ad here. And I'm looking at my ratios. So we could even remove our incremental here just to make this a little bit more smooth. And I'm starting to look at what are my click to add to cart ratios, my add to cart to purchase ratios, and then eventually my cost per purchase, which is right here. 25% is above my baseline. 12.19% is above my baseline. We also have CPMs at super cheap, $5 CPMs versus the average of $8 CPMs here. And then I noticed one piece here. This is where things get very interesting. We have a 0.51 click-through rate. Now, that could be the result of this ad being semi-viral and having very, very cheap CPM. So I'm not going to discredit here. But what I'll say first is this ad 100% gets graduated. So what that means is we take this ad, let's pretend it's ad down here. We take this ad, we move it into the Advantage Plus broad campaign, our scale campaign. Now, if you have slightly different settings in your scale campaign, fine. It just needs to be a place where you know that this ad can get more outside spend over time. So that's going to be duplicated into here. Now we're going to have 2 instances of it running. We're going to have it running here where it still already is, and we're going to have it in a new ad set here. The second place we're graduating is into the interest groups. We'd ideally graduate this into multiple interest groups, but if you only have one interest that's working, great, put it into the one interest. So in a normal setup, we'd have anywhere from like 4 to 6 variations of the same exact ad, or excuse me, duplications of the same exact ad. And the next thing you want to do with this ad is you want to take this and you want to send this to your creative team, or if you are that creative team, you want to start to break this down and create iterations of this ad. Now, things that you want to look for, and we're going to break down everything in the creative section here, but things that I want to look for here, how could this be better? Not just how can we produce more? So yes, we want to produce more variations of this ad so it lasts longer, so that it has a longer lifetime of driving the return on ad spend that we need. But also, when I see something like a low click-through rate, that means that somewhere in this ad, we might need to look for, are we hooking early enough? Or better yet, are we telling the person to click early enough? Are we telling them about an offer early enough? Those are the elements that you want to start to look for as you graduate. So don't get me wrong, you graduate, you do this process right off the bat because you want this to get more spend. But then as quick as possible, we want to take this ad and we want to start to develop iterations of it. We're then going to drive those iterations into a brand new pack as usual. Okay. I hope this helped, this breakdown on a more, larger scale account. And now I'm going to pause and I'm going to show you a video exactly the same thing for a smaller account. Okay, so this account has spent $4,000 over the last 2 weeks, significantly smaller than what we were just looking at. And there's going to be a lot less to do here, which is very, very normal. So we've set up our same columns. We have new audience breakdowns and we have incremental attribution in place. So I'm trying to get a baseline first. The way that I'm getting that baseline first is I'm opening up my total results here at the bottom. I'm looking at my new audience. We can see right off the bat here, our incremental attribution for new audience is only 1.36. Our total new audience is 1.91. Now, in this case, this is an account that needs a lot of work. This is very new on our side, and we need to level this up. Now, the way that we're trying to level this up right now is by getting as much spend as possible to the best performing ads. So this is exactly the same process as before. We're going through, we're looking at what has spent the most. So I'm going to remove my breakdowns here for a second. And I can tell you right off the bat, we really only have one eligible ad here, which is so normal. A lot of people, they think they have to graduate things. You could literally go years without graduating anything if you don't find a winning ad. But here, we actually have a winning ad, right? The overall return on ad spend in this account is 2.1. The incremental is 1.37. The incremental on this ad is 1.8. Clear winner, and it's driving roughly 35% of the total spend in this campaign. So we want to take this ad just like before, we want to graduate it into the scaling campaign. This is an easy, obvious winner. Now, I'll answer the last question that everyone has. What do you do if you don't have winners? You don't create your scale campaign, is your answer. If you don't have a winning ad, you don't create a scale campaign. It is completely okay. We have campaigns, we have accounts that are spending a lot. We're talking like $100,000 plus per month that have one or two assets in their scale campaign, literally like 2, 3 ads, because we're very particular about what we push in there. You could think about it like this. If you're creating a scale campaign and you're choosing to graduate an ad, nothing magical is happening, right? There's nothing algorithmically that's going to get you a better result in any way. All that's happening is that you're choosing to bet more on an ad. You're choosing to give that ad spend for sure. There's 100 analogies I can use here. We'll use a stock analogy. Normally, when we put everything into a prospecting CBO, we're S&P 500 betting, right? We're adding money to the S&P 500, which historically over time has chosen the best stocks within that 500. It's literally market cap 500, and it's grown steadily. What we're doing when we find a scale campaign is we're saying, I like this particular stock, and I'm going to put dedicated cash behind it. There's risk involved in doing that, which is why we have to be very particular, right? This is where the art and the science kind of blend, right? We don't ever want to put ourselves in a scenario where we overspend on an ad that we're just graduating because we want to graduate something. This is not fun and games. This is like real hard-earned dollars that go into this. So I hope this system makes a ton of sense. It is meant to be as straightforward as possible, and it's meant to be repeated every single week to every 2 weeks at most.